Captain Hyunwoo Park stood on the bridge of the research ship New Seoul and looked out at the stars. His ship moved slowly through space, far from Earth. They were exploring new worlds, looking for life among the distant planets. It was quiet, work, but important work. The New Seoul was not a warship. It carried scientists, not soldiers. The crew spent their days studying rocks and plants from strange worlds. They took pictures of alien sunsets and collected samples of weird-looking creatures. Most days, nothing exciting happened at all. Dr. So-young Kim worked in the science lab below the bridge. She was the ship's best expert on alien life. Her hands were always busy with test tubes and microscopes. She loved discovering new things. Every strange bug or plant they found made her smile. She had joined this mission to learn about life in the galaxy. Lieutenant Dong-min Lee managed the ship's weapons and shields. The New Seoul only had basic defenses. They were meant to scare away space pirates, not fight real enemies. Lee often joked that his job was boring. He spent most days running safety checks on equipment that never got used. Ensign Haewon Choi sat at the communications desk. She listened for messages from Earth and other human ships. Space was big and empty. Most days, she heard nothing but static and the background noise of stars. Sometimes she got lonely sitting there in the quiet. Today felt different, though. They were orbiting a planet called Kepler 442c. The world looked green and blue from space, like Earth. Dr. Kim was excited because her scanners showed signs of life down there, not just plants and bugs, but bigger creatures too, maybe even intelligent life. "Captain," said Choi from her desk, "I'm getting some weird readings on the long-range sensors." Park walked over to look at her screen. Lines and dots moved across the display. "What kind of readings?" "Ships, sir. Big ones. They just appeared out of nowhere." Park felt cold fear in his stomach. The New Seoul was alone out here, weeks away from the nearest human colony. If trouble was coming, they had nowhere to run. "How many ships?" Park asked. Choi's fingers moved over her controls. The screen showed more dots appearing. 12, no, 15. "Sir, they're still coming. These ships are huge." Lieutenant Lee looked up from his weapons console. "Captain, should I power up our defenses?" Park nodded. "Do it, and send an emergency message to Earth. Tell them our location and that we've found unknown ships." The bridge lights turned red as the New Seoul went to alert status. The ship's small crew hurried to their battle stations. But everyone knew their little research ship could not fight 15 large warships. On the main screen, the unknown ships came into view. They were black and sharp like giant knives cutting through space. Their hulls gleamed with a dark metal that seemed to eat light. These were not exploration ships. These were built for war. "They're hailing us," Choi reported. "Put it on the main screen," Park ordered. The screen filled with the image of something that made the human crew step back in shock. The alien creature was huge, maybe 3 meters tall. Its body was covered in hard black armor that looked like it grew from its skin. It had 4 arms, each ending in claws that could tear through steel. Its head was long and narrow, with many eyes and teeth. When it spoke, its voice was like metal scraping against stone. "Small ship, you will stop moving. You will prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in death." Park tried to keep his voice steady. "This is Captain Park of the human research vessel New Seoul. We are on a peaceful mission. We mean you no harm." The creature's mouth opened wider, showing rows of sharp teeth. It might have been smiling, but on that face it looked terrifying. "Humans, we have not seen your species before. You will be valuable for study. Surrender now, and some of you may live long enough to be useful." Dr. Kim grabbed Park's arm. "Captain, the scanners show they have some kind of weapons we've never seen before. Energy levels are off the charts." Park looked around at his crew. They were scared, but they trusted him. These young people had followed him to the edge of known space to explore and learn. Now they were trapped by something that wanted to capture them like animals. "We will not surrender," Park said to the alien on the screen. The creature made a sound like grinding metal. It might have been laughter. "Your ship is small and weak. Our weapons will destroy you in seconds, but damaged specimens are less valuable. Surrender and we will be gentle when we take you apart to study you." Park cut the communication. He turned to his crew. "Lee, can we fight them?" The lieutenant shook his head. "Our weapons are nothing compared to theirs, sir. We might damage one of their ships if we're lucky, but there are too many of them. Can we run?" "Their ships are faster than ours, Captain. We'd never make it to hyperspace before they caught us." Park closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about Earth, millions of light years away. He thought about his wife and children waiting for him to come home. He thought about the crew members looking to him for answers he didn't have. "Choi, are you still recording that emergency message?" "Yes, sir, but it will take weeks to reach Earth." "Keep recording. Make sure they know what we found out here." Park walked to the center of the bridge. "Listen to me, everyone. We can't fight them and we can't run. But we can make sure Earth knows about these aliens." The ship shook as the alien vessels moved closer. On the screen, Park could see their weapons charging with deadly light. "I'm ordering all hands to the escape pods," Park announced over the ship's intercom. "Scatter in different directions, maybe. Some of you will make it to the planet's surface. Maybe some of you will find a way to hide until help comes." Dr. Kim stepped forward. "Captain, what about you? Someone needs to buy you time to escape. Someone needs to make sure that message gets sent to Earth." Park sat down in his captain's chair. "That someone is me." Lee grabbed his arm. "Sir, you don't have to do this." "Yes, I do." Park smiled at his young crew. "Go now. That's an order." One by one, the crew members saluted their captain and headed for the escape pods. Dr. Kim was the last to leave. She stopped at the door and looked back. "Tell Earth we found something out here," Park said to her. "Tell them humanity isn't alone anymore, and tell them we're not at the top of the food chain." Kim nodded, tears in her eyes. Then she ran for the pods. Park watched on his screens as small escape pods shot away from his ship in all directions. The alien vessels destroyed most of them with casual ease. Their weapons turned the pods into brief flashes of light, but a few pods made it through. He saw Dr. Kim's pod heading for the planet's atmosphere. The alien commander appeared on his screen again. "Your crew cannot escape us. Surrender now, human captain." Park looked at the creature with hatred. "Go to hell." He pushed a button on his chair. The new soul's engines overloaded, building up energy for one final act of defiance. The research ship turned and flew straight at the largest alien vessel, engines screaming. The alien warships opened fire. Energy beams tore through the new soul's hull. The bridge exploded around Park, but he held his course, racing toward the enemy ship at full speed. Park's last thought was of his crew. He hoped some of them would survive. He hoped they would find a way to warn Earth about what was coming. As the new soul crashed into the alien vessel and exploded, Captain Park died knowing he had done his duty. On the planet below, Dr. Kim crawled out of her crashed escape pod. Her leg was broken, but she was alive. Above her, alien ships circled like metal vultures. She could hear them landing nearby. Heavy footsteps approached through the alien jungle. Kim tried to hide, but her broken leg made it impossible to move far. The black-armored aliens found her within minutes. As they carried her away to their ship, Kim looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting. Somewhere out there, humanity would learn what had happened to the new soul. The aliens thought they had captured a helpless scientist from a weak species. They had no idea they had just made the worst mistake in galactic history. Dr. So-Young Kim woke up in a cage made of strange metal. Her broken leg throbbed with pain. The room around her was dark and cold, with walls that curved like the inside of a giant tube. Strange lights blinked on control panels she could not understand. She had been here for 3 months now. 3 months of pain, fear, and tests that made no sense. The aliens called themselves the Vorthan. They treated her like a bug in a jar, something to study and poke at. Every day, the alien scientists came to run their experiments. They took her blood, tested her reflexes, and measured how much pain she could feel before she screamed. The worst part was that they seemed surprised by everything about her. This human shows remarkable resistance to cellular damage. one alien scientist told another in their harsh language. Kim had learned enough of their words to understand some of what they said. The lead scientist was called Krellmoth. He was even bigger than the others, with scars covering his black armor. His claws were stained with the blood of many species. He studied Kim like she was the most interesting thing he had ever seen. In all our conquests, we have never found a species quite like this, Krellmoth said to his assistant. Most creatures break within days of capture. This human has been here for months and she still fights every test we give her. Kim tried not to listen, but she had no choice. The cage was small, and the aliens talked freely in front of her. They thought she was just a smart animal, not a person who could understand them. How many species have we conquered now? The assistant asked. 17 worlds have fallen to the Vorthan Empire, Krellmoth replied with pride. 17 species now serve us as slaves or food. Soon, we will add the humans to that number. Kim felt sick. These monsters had destroyed 17 different, intelligent species. They had turned entire worlds into slave camps, and now they wanted to do the same to Earth. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, Earth was preparing for war. Fleet Admiral Jin-Ho Nam stood in the command center of Earth's military headquarters. Around him, screens showed star maps and ship designs. The best military minds in human space worked day and night, planning something that had never been done before. How long since we received the new Sol's emergency signal? Nam asked his aide. 3 months, sir. The message was damaged, but we got enough to know they found hostile aliens in the outer rim. Nam nodded grimly. The new Sol had been humanity's farthest exploration ship. If aliens had attacked it, that meant humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy. It also meant they had enemies. What do we know about these aliens? The aide brought up a holographic display. The data from the new Sol shows ships much larger than ours with weapons we don't understand. They appeared without warning and attacked immediately. And our response? We're building the largest military fleet in human history, sir. 13 ships, including your flagship, the Inchen's Fury. They should be ready to launch within the week. Nam looked at the ship designs on the screens around him. These were not exploration vessels like the new Sol. These ships were built for one purpose: war. They carried weapons that humanity had hoped never to use again, weapons designed to destroy other intelligent life. Captain Young-Sik Bay walked into the command center. He would lead the assault carrier Busan Strike. His ship was designed to launch fighter squadrons and drop soldiers onto enemy worlds. Admiral, the crew selections are complete, Bay reported. We have the best pilots and soldiers humanity can offer. Good. What about psychological warfare specialists? Dr. Tae-Hyun Yoon has joined the mission as our strategic advisor. He's been studying everything we know about alien psychology. Dr. Yoon entered the room as if summoned by his name. He was a thin man with sharp eyes who had spent years studying how different minds worked. He had read every piece of data from the new Sol's encounter. Admiral, Dr. Yoon said, I've completed my analysis of the alien transmission. What did you find? These creatures are apex predators. Everything about their behavior shows they see other species as prey. They've never encountered another intelligent species that could fight back effectively. Nam leaned forward. What does that mean for us? It means they're not prepared for psychological warfare. They expect their enemies to be afraid. They use fear as a weapon, but they've never faced an enemy that could make them afraid. Commander Miran Song joined the group. She would captain the stealth destroyer Gwangju Shadow. Her ship was designed to move unseen and strike without warning. Doctor, what do you recommend? Song asked. We don't fight them like they expect, Yoon replied. We don't meet their fleets in open battle. Instead, we make them afraid. We show them that humans are not prey. We show them that we are predators too. Nam smiled grimly. Explain. Fear is a powerful weapon, Admiral. These aliens have conquered 17 species because those species were afraid. But humans respond to fear differently. When we're afraid, we get angry. When we're angry, we become dangerous. Bay crossed his arms. So how do we make them afraid? We become something they've never seen before. We become the monsters in their nightmares. Back on the Vorthan laboratory ship, Kim was beginning to understand more of their language. The aliens talked freely around her, never thinking that their test subject could learn from them. The human homeworld has been located, one scientist reported to Krellmoth. Our scouts have found their system. They call it Sol. How many humans live there? Krellmoth asked. Billions, sir. More than any species we have encountered. But their technology seems primitive compared to ours. Krellmoth made the grinding sound that served as Vorthan laughter. Billions of specimens to study. We will learn so much from their suffering. Kim closed her eyes and tried not to cry. Earth had no idea what was coming. Her homeworld was full of people who had never seen real war between species. They thought the universe was a place of exploration and discovery. They had no idea that monsters like the Vorthan existed. When do we attack their world? The assistant asked. Soon. But first we must understand them better. This specimen has shown remarkable resistance to our tests. We need to know if all humans are this stubborn, or if she is unusual. The assistant looked at Kim in her cage. Should we capture more specimens? No. We will learn what we can from this one, then proceed with the conquest. A few billion humans will provide all the test subjects we could ever need. Kim felt rage building inside her chest. These creatures talked about enslaving her entire species like they were discussing dinner plans. They had no respect for human life. No understanding that each person they planned to kill had dreams and families and hopes. But there was something the Vorthan didn't understand about humans. Something they couldn't learn from studying one person. In a cage. Humans were pack hunters. When one human was threatened, others came to help. When one human was captured, others would come looking. And when humans were angry, they were capable of things that would surprise any apex predator. On Earth, Admiral Nam received the final reports from his ship captains. The human war fleet was ready to launch. 13 ships carrying the best weapons and the angriest soldiers humanity could produce. Admiral, Dr. Yoon said, I want to make sure you understand what we're attempting. This isn't just a rescue mission, this is humanity's first contact with alien intelligence. What we do out there will determine how the galaxy sees us for centuries to come. What do you recommend, Doctor? We show them exactly what humans are capable of when someone hurts one of our own. We show them that taking Dr. Kim was the worst mistake the Vorthan Empire ever made. Nam looked around the command center at his officers and advisors. These people had worked for months to prepare for this moment. They had built ships, trained soldiers, and planned strategies for a war against an enemy they had never seen. Gentlemen, lady, Nam said formally, we are about to embark on humanity's first interstellar war. Our enemy has conquered 17 species. They think humans will be number 18. He paused, looking each person in the eye. They're about to learn why that was a mistake. They took one of ours. Now we're going to show them what humans do to species that prey on the innocent. The room filled with grim smiles. These people understood what was at stake. This wasn't just about saving Dr. Kim, though that was important. This was about showing the galaxy that humanity would not be pushed around. Signal the fleet, Nam ordered. All ships prepare for departure. Destination, the Outer Rim territories. Mission, find Dr. Kim and show these Vorthan what human justice looks like. As the great ships powered up their engines, Admiral Nam made one final log entry. They rescued one of us from Earth's dangers for years. Now they've taken one of ours into space. They think this makes them predators and us prey. They're about to discover their mistake. Humanity is launching its first military expedition to the stars. We go not as explorers or diplomats, but as warriors. And we will not return until justice is done. The human war fleet jumped to hyperspace, racing toward a confrontation that would change the galaxy forever. Behind them, Earth waited and hoped. Ahead of them, an enemy that had never known defeat was about to learn why humans were the apex predators of their own world. The human war fleet moved through hyperspace like hungry wolves stalking their prey. Admiral Nam stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Inchen's Fury, watching star charts that showed Vorthan territory. His ships had been traveling for 2 weeks, getting closer to enemy space with each jump. "Admiral," reported his communications officer, "we're receiving data from our deep space monitoring stations. They've detected Vorthan ship movements throughout this sector." Nam nodded. The Vorthan controlled a large area of space with dozens of star systems under their rule. Their empire had grown by conquering weaker species and turning them into slaves. Now it was time to see how they handled a real fight. "Dr. Yoon, what's our psychological warfare status?" Dr. Tai Hyun. Yoon looked up from his tactical displays. For weeks he had been planning something the galaxy had never seen before. The Vorthan expected direct military attacks. They were not prepared for human creativity. "All systems ready, Admiral. Commander Song's stealth missions can begin as soon as we enter Vorthan space." Commander Miran Song stood near the tactical display on her own ship, the Gwangju Shadow. Her vessel was humanity's most advanced stealth destroyer, designed to move unseen through enemy territory. She had volunteered for the most dangerous part of the mission. "Song to Admiral Nam," she reported over the communication system. "My ship is ready for infiltration operations. We can begin psychological attacks within hours of entering their space." The plan was simple, but terrifying. Instead of attacking Vorthan military targets directly, the humans would strike at their civilian infrastructure. They would attack mining operations, supply convoys, and communication stations. Each attack would be small but precise, leaving behind a very specific message. Captain Youngsik Bay commanded the assault carrier Busan strike from his bridge. His ship carried special drone fighters that could operate without human pilots. These ghost drones were equipped with technology the Vorthan had never seen before. "Captain Bay reporting," he said over the fleet communication channel. "Ghost drone squadrons are ready for deployment. Each drone is equipped with speakers and holographic projectors as requested." Dr. Yoon smiled grimly. The ghost drones would not just attack Vorthan ships. They would attach themselves to enemy hulls and broadcast sounds that would drive the aliens mad with fear. Human music, laughter, and voices speaking in languages the Vorthan couldn't understand. "Remember," Admiral Nam told his captains, "we're not trying to destroy their entire fleet in one battle. We're showing them that humans can strike anywhere, anytime. We want them to be afraid to sleep at night." The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Vorthan territory. Long-range sensors immediately detected dozens of alien ships moving through nearby systems. The Vorthan Empire was vast, with hundreds of worlds under their control. "Commander Song," Nam ordered, "begin Operation Ghost Hunt." The Gwangju Shadow vanished from all sensors as its stealth systems activated. Song's ship moved like a phantom through space, heading for the nearest Vorthan supply convoy. Her first target was a group of cargo ships carrying food and equipment to Vorthan military bases. Song watched the convoy through her ship's advanced sensors. 6 large cargo vessels escorted by 2 warships. The escorts were powerful enough to destroy any normal attack, but the Gwangju Shadow was not normal. "Weapons officer, prepare surgical strikes," Song ordered. "I want those cargo ships disabled, not destroyed. And make sure our calling card is delivered." The stealth destroyer fired precisely targeted energy beams at the cargo ship's engines. Within seconds, all 6 vessels were drifting helplessly in space. The escort warships spun around, looking for an attacker they couldn't see. "Deploy the message pod," Song commanded. A small device shot out from the Gwangju Shadow and attached itself to the largest cargo ship. Inside the pod was a recording of Dr. Kim's voice, speaking in perfect Vorthan language. "We're coming for her." The message would repeat for hours, broadcasting on all frequencies. Every Vorthan ship in the area would hear it. They would know that somewhere in the darkness, human ships were hunting them. Song's ship slipped away as quietly as it had arrived. The Vorthan escort vessels fired wildly at empty space, trying to hit an enemy they couldn't find. Their shots hit nothing but stars. Meanwhile, Captain Bay was preparing his own psychological attack. The Busan strike launched dozens of ghost drones toward a Vorthan military base on a nearby planet. The small, nearly invisible craft moved through, space-like metal insects. The drones reached the Vorthan base without being detected. They attached themselves to the hulls of warships, the walls of buildings, and the communication towers that connected the base to the rest of the empire. Then they began broadcasting, Human music filled the Vorthon communication channels. Not the harsh, grinding sounds that aliens expected from a warrior species, but something worse. Beautiful melodies that no Vorthon could understand. Children's lullabies sung by human mothers to their babies. Love songs that spoke of emotions the Vorthon had never felt. The base commander, a scarred veteran named Thokmar, listened to the strange sounds with growing fear. His species had conquered 17 others, but none had ever responded to capture with music. None had ever filled Vorthon ships with the sound of laughter. "Where are these sounds coming from?" Thokmar demanded of his technical officers. "Unknown, Commander. The signals appear to be coming from inside our own ships." "That's impossible. Search every vessel, find the source." But the search teams found nothing. The ghost drones were too small and too well hidden. They continued broadcasting human sounds throughout the night, driving the Vorthon soldiers to exhaustion and paranoia. Dr. Yoon monitored the psychological attacks from the Inchin's fury. His screen showed Vorthon communication channels filled with confused reports and growing panic. "Admiral, it's working even better than expected," Yoon reported. "Vorthon commanders are reporting ghost attacks throughout their territory. They're finding disabled ships with no sign of the attackers." "What about their military response?" "They're sending patrol fleets to investigate, but our stealth ships are always gone before the patrols arrive. The Vorthon are used to fighting enemies they can see. They don't know how to respond to invisible attackers." Admiral Nam smiled coldly. "Good. Keep up the pressure. I want every Vorthon in this sector to know that humans are hunting them." The psychological campaign continued for weeks. Commander Song's stealth destroyer struck at supply lines throughout Vorthon space. Mining operations stopped working when their equipment was sabotaged by invisible attackers. Communication relays went silent after broadcasting human voices into the darkness. Captain Bay's ghost drones infiltrated Vorthon military bases on a dozen worlds. The small devices filled alien ships with sounds the Vorthon had never heard before. Human children playing, human couples laughing together, human families singing songs around dinner tables. To the Vorthon, who saw other species only as prey, to be hunted, these sounds were terrifying. They suggested a kind of life the aliens couldn't understand. They suggested that humans were not just another species to be conquered, but something entirely different. The effect on the Vorthon Empire was devastating. Military units began reporting equipment failures and crew anxiety. Supply lines became unreliable as cargo ships refused to travel without heavy escorts. Communication between Vorthon worlds became difficult as relay stations fell silent one by one. But the worst effect was on the 17 conquered species that served the Vorthon Empire. For generations, these aliens had lived as slaves, believing that resistance was impossible. Now they heard rumors of ghost ships and invisible attackers. They began to hope that someone was finally fighting back against their masters. On the Vorthon homeworld, Empire Commander Thexavel received reports from across his territory. His species had ruled this part of the galaxy for centuries, expanding their empire by crushing any opposition. Now, for the first time, they were facing an enemy they couldn't find or fight directly. "What do we know about these humans?" Thexavel demanded of his intelligence officers. "Very little, Commander. They appear to have advanced stealth technology. Their attacks are precise and coordinated. Most disturbing, they don't fight like prey species." "What do you mean?" "Prey species fight defensively. They try to protect their territory and populations. These humans are hunting us. They're striking at targets throughout our empire, but we can't find their home base or main fleet." Thexavel's claws scraped against his command chair. The Vorthon had evolved as apex predators on a death world where only the strongest survived. They understood hunting and being hunted, but they had always been the hunters, never the prey. "Double all. Patrols. Triple the escorts for supply convoys. I want every ship in the Empire watching for these ghost attackers." But even as Thexavel gave his orders, he could hear something that made his warrior's heart cold with fear. Through the communication system of his own flagship, barely audible but impossible to ignore, came the sound of human children singing, a lullaby. The ghost drones had found him too. Dr. Kim still trapped in her cage on the Vorthon laboratory ship, began to notice changes in her captor's behavior. The alien scientists seemed nervous, jumping at unexpected sounds. Admiral Nam stood before the main display on his flagship, studying intelligence reports from across Vorthon space. For 6 weeks, his ships had waged psychological warfare against the alien empire. Now it was time for the real fight. Dr. Yoon, what's the status of our infiltration teams? The psychological warfare expert looked up from his data screens. Excellent, Admiral. Our stealth operations have gathered detailed information about Vorthon military positions. More importantly, we've located Dr. Kim. The bridge crew leaned forward with interest. Finding their captured scientist had been the primary goal of the entire mission. Everything else had been preparation for this moment. Where is she? Nam asked. A massive research station called the Harvester, located in the Vorthon home system. It's their primary scientific facility, heavily defended by over 300 warships. Captain Bay's voice came over the communication system from the Busan. Strike. Admiral, 300 ships against our 13, those aren't good odds. Commander Song, still operating in stealth mode aboard the Gwangju Shadow, joined the conversation. Sir, I could attempt to infiltrate the station and extract Dr. Kim quietly. No, Admiral Nam said firmly. We're not sneaking in like thieves. We're going in the front door. Dr. Yoon looked confused. Admiral, a direct assault would be suicide. The Vorthon fleet outnumbers us 25-1. Nam smiled grimly. Doctor, you said these aliens use fear as a weapon. They expect their enemies to be afraid of them. What do you think will happen when we show up at their home system and demand Dr. Kim's return? They'll attack with everything they have. Exactly. And when they do, we'll show them why that was a mistake. Signal all ships. Set course for the Vorthon home system. It's time to collect our scientist. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace, racing toward the heart of the Vorthon Empire. Behind them, they left a trail of confusion and fear. Across dozens of star systems, Vorthon commanders reported ghost attacks and invisible enemies. The Empire, that had conquered 17 species, was learning what it felt like to be hunted. Dr. Kim sat in her cage aboard the Harvester, listening to the alien scientists discuss their latest experiments. Over the past weeks, she had noticed changes in their behavior. They seemed nervous, constantly looking over their shoulders as if expecting attack. The ghost ships have struck again, one scientist reported to Krellmoth. An entire supply convoy was disabled near the outer rim. No survivors, no witnesses, just ships drifting in space with their engines destroyed. Krellmoth made an angry, grinding sound. How can an enemy attack our ships without being seen? This is impossible. Perhaps the humans have technology we don't understand, the assistant suggested. No. Krellmoth slammed his clawed hand against a control panel. Humans are primitive. This specimen proves they are weak and easily broken. These attacks must be coming from another source. Kim almost smiled despite her pain. The Vorthon couldn't accept that humans might be more advanced than they thought. Their pride was blinding them to the truth. Sir, another scientist entered the laboratory. Empire Commander Thexaval wants an immediate report on all human research. He says the information is needed for military planning. Tell the commander that this specimen has revealed nothing useful. Humans appear to have the same basic biology as other prey species. They feel pain, they bleed, they break under sufficient pressure. Kim knew they were wrong. She had endured months of torture, but she had not broken. Every day she found new strength by thinking about Earth, about her family, about the possibility that someone would come for her. Meanwhile, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Vorthon home system. Admiral Nam looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of alien ships defending their most important world. Communications. Open a channel to all Vorthon vessels, Nam ordered. The main screen filled with the image of Empire Commander Thexaval, the supreme leader of the Vorthon military. The alien was even larger than the others, covered in scars from a lifetime of combat. His many eyes focused on Nam with undisguised hatred. So, Thexaval said in his grinding voice, The mysterious humans finally show themselves. You are much smaller than I expected. I am Admiral Nam of the Human Defense Force, Nam replied calmly. We have come for Dr. So-Young Kim, the human scientist you captured from our research vessel. Thexval's mouth opened in what might have been laughter. One small human female? You brought 13 ships to rescue one specimen? Return Dr. Kim unharmed and we will consider mercy. The Vorthan commander's eyes blazed with anger. Mercy? You dare speak of mercy to the Vorthan Empire? We have conquered 17 species. We will add humanity to that number, starting with your pathetic little fleet. Refuse and discover why humans are the only species that commits genocide as policy. The words hung in space like a death sentence. Around the Vorthan home system, hundreds of alien warships powered up their weapons. They had never lost a battle, never known defeat. These 13 human ships seemed like easy prey. You will all die here, Thexval promised. Your ships will be destroyed, your crews captured for study. The female specimen will remain our property until we tire of her screaming. Nam's expression didn't change. Commander Song, are you in position? Affirmative, Admiral. All stealth. Systems active. Captain Bay, prepare for full assault deployment. Ghost drones armed and ready, sir. Dr. Yoon, begin broadcasting package Alpha on all frequencies. Broadcasting now, Admiral. Suddenly, every communication channel in the Vorthan home system filled with sound. Not the harsh, grinding voices of Vorthan speech, but something else. Entirely. Human music, powerful and beautiful, flooded the alien networks. Symphonies that spoke of triumph over adversity. Rock songs that celebrated human defiance. Folk melodies that told stories of love and loss. Mixed with the music were human voices, children laughing on playgrounds, families singing together at holidays, lovers whispering gentle words in the darkness. To the Vorthan, who had never experienced such emotions, the sounds were alien and disturbing. What is this noise? Thexval demanded. That, Admiral Nam replied, is what you're trying to destroy. Those are the voices of the people you want to enslave. Listen carefully, Commander. That laughter belongs to children who will never know your kind of fear. Those songs come from a species that finds joy in the darkest places. The Vorthan fleet moved to attack positions, surrounding the smaller human force. Energy weapons charged with deadly light. The aliens expected the humans to panic, to try to escape or beg for mercy. Instead, Admiral Nam gave the order that changed galactic history forever. All ships, attack pattern Omega. Show them what human war looks like. The 13 human vessels didn't try to run or defend themselves. Instead, they attacked directly into the center of the Vorthan formation. The Inchin's Fury led the charge, its weapons blazing as it headed straight for the enemy flagship. But this wasn't a normal space battle. The human ships moved with perfect coordination, each vessel covering the others as they advanced. Their weapons were precise, targeting specific systems rather than trying to destroy entire ships. Captain Bay's fighter squadrons launched from the Busan strike, not trying to win the battle but putting on a show. Human pilots carved patterns in enemy hulls with their laser cannons, spelling out words in Korean that the Vorthan couldn't understand, but somehow found terrifying. Commander Song's stealth destroyer appeared without warning in the middle of the Vorthan formation. The Gwangju Shadow fired precisely targeted shots that disabled dozens of alien vessels without destroying them. The message was clear: humans could have killed them all, but chose not to. The ghost drones were the worst part for the Vorthan. The small devices swarmed through their ships, broadcasting human voices directly into alien command centers. Vorthan commanders found themselves listening to human children singing lullabies while trying to coordinate their battle plans. This is impossible, Thexval screamed as his own flagship shook under human weapons fire. They're outnumbered 25-1, but the humans weren't trying to win a fair fight. They were demonstrating their capabilities while leaving escape routes for Vorthan survivors. Every tactic showed human technological superiority while making it clear that they were holding back. Admiral Nam's ship, the Inchin's Fury, rammed straight through a Vorthan battlecruiser's hull. The impact should have destroyed both vessels, but human engineering was superior. Nam's ship emerged from the other side damaged but intact, broadcasting human death metal at maximum volume. The psychological effect was devastating. The Vorthan had never faced an enemy that turned space combat into performance art. They couldn't understand why humans would risk their lives to rescue one person, or why they would broadcast music during battle. After 3 hours of fighting, half the Vorthan fleet was disabled or destroyed. The survivors watched in shock as the 13 human ships regrouped and prepared for another attack. "Enough," Thexval broadcast to the human fleet. "What do you want?" "Dr. Kim," Admiral Nam replied simply, "return her now, and we'll let the rest of your fleet live." On the Harvester Research Station, Krellmoth received emergency orders to prepare the human specimen for transfer. He looked at Dr. Kim with something that might have been respect. Dr. So-Young Kim stood in the medical bay of the Inchen's Fury, finally free after months of captivity. The ship's doctor had healed her broken leg and treated her other injuries, but the anger in her eyes burned brighter than ever. "Admiral," she said to Nam as he visited her recovery room, "what you did at their home system was just the beginning, wasn't it?" Nam nodded grimly. "The rescue was the easy part, Doctor. Now comes the judgment." Kim looked out through the medical bay window at the stars rushing past in hyperspace. "Good. Those monsters have conquered 17 different species. They've turned entire worlds into slave camps. Someone needs to make them pay." "That someone is us," Nam replied. "The question is, are you ready to help us do it?" Kim's smile was cold as winter. "Admiral, I've spent months listening to them brag about their conquests. I know where their bases are, how their command structure works, and which species they've enslaved. More importantly, I know how to hurt them." Within days of Dr. Kim's rescue, the psychological warfare campaign against the Vorthan Empire expanded beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The humans didn't just attack military targets, they launched a coordinated effort to destroy the Vorthan's will to fight. Dr. Yoon worked with Kim to develop new tactics based on her knowledge of Vorthan psychology. The aliens were proud warriors who had never experienced defeat. The key was to make them understand that they were no longer the predators in this relationship. Commander Song's stealth destroyer, the Gwangju Shadow, led teams of infiltrators to every major Vorthan world. But instead of attacking the aliens directly, they did something more effective. They talked to the conquered species. On the industrial world of Kepler-186, Song's team made contact with the Althari, a species of skilled engineers who had been enslaved for 3 generations. The meeting took place in secret, in the ruins of what had once been the Althari capital city. "We are humans," Song told the Althari resistance leader, a female named Veltara, whose people resembled tall, slender cats. "We know what the Vorthan did to you. We're here to offer you freedom." Veltara looked suspicious. "Many species have promised to help us. All of them ended up as slaves or food. Why should humans be different?" Song activated a holographic display showing the battle at the Vorthan home system. The Althari watched in amazement as 13 human ships defeated a fleet of hundreds. "Because we're not promising to help you," Song said. "We're telling you that we're going to destroy the Vorthan Empire whether you help us or not. The only question is whether you want to be free when we're done, or if you want to stay in chains." The effect of Song's words spread across the enslaved worlds like wildfire. For the first time in generations, the conquered species began to hope. Secret meetings were held in hidden places. Resistance groups shared information about Vorthan military positions and weaknesses. Captain Bay's assault carrier, the Busan Strike, coordinated with these resistance groups to launch simultaneous attacks across Vorthan space. But these weren't random acts of violence. They were carefully planned operations designed to cripple the Empire's ability to function. On the mining world of Wolf 359, human-trained Althari saboteurs destroyed the processing plants that refined metals for Vorthan warships. On the agricultural planet of Proxima 7, another enslaved species called the Neth poisoned the food supplies heading to Vorthan military bases. Each attack was accompanied by the same message: broadcast in the languages of all 17 conquered species. Humanity judges the Vorthon guilty. Stand aside and live. Stand with them and share their fate. The psychological impact on the Vorthon was devastating. Their empire, built on fear and overwhelming force, began to crumble from within. Supply lines failed as conquered species stopped cooperating. Military bases reported constant sabotage and equipment failures, but the humans weren't finished. Admiral Nam had decided that simple victory wasn't enough. The Vorthon Empire needed to be completely destroyed as an example to any other predatory species watching from the shadows. "Dr. Kim," Nam said during a strategy meeting, "you've studied their biology for months. What do the Vorthon fear most?" Kim thought for a moment. Irrelevance. They're apex predators who define themselves by their ability to dominate other species. The worst thing you could do to them is make them powerless. Then that's exactly what we'll do. The final phase of humanity's judgment began with a coordinated attack on every Vorthon military installation in their empire. But this wasn't a battle. It was an extermination campaign carried out with clinical precision. Human ships appeared simultaneously in dozens of star systems. They didn't negotiate or demand surrender. They simply destroyed every Vorthon military vessel they could find, then moved on to the next target. The Vorthon tried to fight back, but they were facing an enemy that had learned from their own tactics and improved upon them. Human ships used superior technology and coordination to achieve victory after victory. More importantly, they had the support of every conquered species in Vorthon space. Empire Commander Thexval watched his empire collapse from his flagship, one of the few Vorthon vessels still operational. Reports flooded in from across their territory. Fleets destroyed, bases captured, entire worlds in rebellion. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his surviving officers. "We are the Vorthon. We have ruled this sector for centuries." "Sir," one officer reported with fear in his voice, "the humans aren't just attacking our military. They're coordinating with every species we've ever conquered. Our former slaves are hunting us now." Thexval realized the horrible truth. The humans hadn't just defeated the Vorthon Empire, they had turned it against itself. Every species, the Vorthon had enslaved, was now fighting for their freedom, and they all had years of anger to work out. Dr. Yoon monitored the collapse from the Inchen's fury, watching as psychological warfare reports came in from across the former Vorthon Empire. The conquered species weren't just rebelling, they were actively hunting down their former masters. "Admiral," Yoon reported, "the Althari have captured 3 Vorthon research stations and freed thousands of prisoners. The Neth have destroyed the Vorthon food processing centers and are broadcasting human music from the ruins. Even the more peaceful species are refusing to cooperate with Vorthon authorities." "What about Vorthon military resistance?" "Minimal. Most of their ships have been destroyed or abandoned. The surviving crews are either surrendering or trying to flee to unknown space." Nam nodded with satisfaction. "Good. Begin Phase 3 of the judgment." Phase 3 was the most important part of humanity's plan. Instead of simply conquering the former Vorthon territories, the humans did something unprecedented in galactic history. They gave them back to their original inhabitants. Admiral Nam traveled to each liberated world personally, meeting with the leaders of the conquered species. His message was the same everywhere. The Vorthon Empire is finished. These worlds belong to you again. Humanity claims no territory, demands no tribute, and expects no service. You are free. The reaction was always the same. Disbelief followed by tears of joy, followed by offers of alliance and eternal gratitude. On the Althari homeworld, Veltara knelt before Admiral Nam in the ruins of her people's ancient capital. "Human Admiral, how can we repay this debt? You have given us back our freedom, our worlds, our future." Nam helped her to her feet. "You don't owe us anything. Freedom isn't something that should be bought or sold. It's a right that belongs to all intelligent life." Dr. Kim accompanied Nam to many of these meetings. Seeing the gratitude of the liberated species helped heal some of the psychological damage from her months in captivity, but she also had a practical purpose for these visits. "Admiral, I recommend we establish the Galactic Ethics Council, Kim suggested during their flight to the Neth homeworld. An organization dedicated to preventing future atrocities like what the Vorthon did. What would this council do? Monitor the galaxy for predatory species like the Vorthon. Provide assistance to civilizations under threat. Most importantly, serve as a warning that humanity is watching and will respond to injustice with force. Nam liked the idea. Who would lead such an organization? Dr. Yoon has the psychological expertise. I have the scientific knowledge. You have the military experience. Together we could create something that ensures what happened to these 17 species never happens again. The establishment of the Galactic Ethics Council marked humanity's transformation from unknown newcomers to self-appointed guardians of galactic civilization. The Council's charter was simple. Sapient beings have the right to exist free from oppression. But everyone understood the unspoken corollary, and humanity will enforce that right. As news of the Vorthon Empire's destruction spread throughout the galaxy, other predatory species quietly abandoned their expansionist policies. The message was clear. There was now a civilization in the galaxy that would respond to aggression with overwhelming force. Peaceful species rejoiced, knowing that someone was finally standing up to galactic bullies. Explorers and scientists from dozens of worlds requested permission to visit Earth, eager to learn from the species that had liberated 17 enslaved civilizations. Dr. Kim returned to her research, but now her studies focused on a new question: how to make humans even more effective at protecting the innocent.